What up, world? It's Drex. I wanted to make today's video for a couple reasons. The first, but probably least important, is that someone out there can know who I am or who I was. I'm Drex. I make music. I do a lot more than that. I just like making things, to be honest. Before I was making music full time, I was making and selling clothes with my friend Jose. And I was just on the phone with him. This is one of the hoodies we made. I'll set the camera up so you can see it actually. But yeah, we just had a good conversation. I haven't talked to him in a while. He just got back from Mexico. He's from out there. Let me fix the lighting on this one. But yeah, we just had a really good conversation. And it inspired, I think, today's kind of theme. We would go to like Goodwills or anywhere you could get clothes and just get them real cheap, and we'd like paint on them. That's where we started. Joseph was like just drawing and painting all in his room. We had like this kind of creative house with just me and the homies, and yeah, he was just drawing all over the walls and putting his drawings on the walls, and I was like, bro, you gotta do something with this. So we started this company called Last Call, and then I knew like from making music, I knew like a lot of the local like venue promoters and stuff. And yeah, they just let us come sell the clothes there. And so that kind of turned into a whole world and whole business of its own. That music got really busy and life happens, and now Joe's been running with it. And we still call it the prototype era. It's like all these designs, even the stuff he's making now, I think they're all custom, like one of ones, but eventually we want to take them and just like be able to give them to like a manufacturer and be like, can you make this, you know? And maybe it won't be the identical, like, I think it's a Carhartt, or you know, Carhartt thrifted, whatever, but if we can get close, I think there's some really unique ideas he's already made. But anyway, that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is I'm alive. And I think there's I don't know, I wrote it down. I'm trying to write these points down, but I had 3 really cool reasons I wanted to make this. Yeah, the first one is what I was talking about. I make music, I make clothes, I make these films. I love film in general. I love, honestly, just storytelling. I love adventure. That's kind of the whole reason I think I'm here, is to adventure, explore, and then give some wisdom or experiences or share whatever it is I'm doing. So yeah, that's who I am. The second reason, what did I write down? The second reason is a reminder to myself that I am alive and to live it while I can. You know, there's gonna be a time where I can't make these videos, and then there will be a time where I can't just not make these videos. I can't do anything. And whenever I get there, for whatever reason, it makes me value. It makes me value all this. I gotta pick a better spot. It makes me value all this a whole lot more, man. There's so much I want to achieve, and when I start thinking about it all at once, I get really overwhelmed, and I'm never the best at being present or in the moment fully, but I'm trying to use these as an exercise to work at that. And you know, that's, I think, the main focus of today's video is just to remember the joy and like the fun of whether it's this video or making a song, or we just got back from tour in Europe, and I keep saying it, but it's such a trip, man. It's like what I wanted to do my whole life, and you know, I'm doing it. And I think I gotta keep saying it, and I gotta keep reminding myself and just putting it out there more and more and more, just to feel it, man, just to remember it. And so that's probably the second reason, is I just want to feel that shit, and I want to remember. And that's kind of the point of the third reason. The third reason is, actually, I want to make sure I get it right. I pretty much have it, but let's see. Yeah. The third reason is to document this moment in time so that I can always come back to it. I want to be able to remember this energy I'm in today and this idea. I think a lot of times I'll have ideas. I'll find somewhere else to put the camera up. I think a lot of times I'll have ideas, and I'll get in this headspace where I'm able to see and think through to the future, and think through to these concepts of like, you know, live in the present and really find that peace and that stillness and that joy. But then life happens, and in life happening, you forget those energies, you know? And it's like if you have like a late night call with like a friend or, you know, somebody you're really close with, and, you know, you can have all these breakthroughs, but then the next day you wake up and you're going back and the pressures of life just hit you in the face and you forget all that shit. And so for me, this is kind of a way that I want to be able to always come back to this video and always come back to this moment in time and just remember, one day you will die. And do with that what you will. Future Drex. Remember who you are in this moment. Remember who you want to become, and just remember what you want to do. And yeah, and remember that you always have the ability to go after and do that. And you have the ability to, you know, you have the ability to sit down and think through what you want, what you don't want, just because you've made previous commitments to what that was and what that looks like. That doesn't mean that's what it is in the future. And you always have that freedom to come back to this exact place and this feeling and say, what the fuck do you want? I have this analogy I use sometimes. I usually use it for a different example, but it kind of works in this. It's more, I usually use it in like planning your life in general. And like the power of just kind of like I think it was one of the first videos I did, the power of just like journaling and writing down, and like planning out your years and shit. That shit is so powerful. That's like the biggest cheat code ever, honestly. It's just the ability to think through your future, think through what you want, and then be able to come back to it every day. And the analogy I use is it's almost like a boxer. It's such a dumb example or analogy. I don't know why. I always think of this, like I visualize it, but it's like, imagine you're like in a fight or some shit, and like imagine you're just like on your mission, and like you're on this hero's journey, and say you're at this, the construction site, and the goal is to go, let's say we want to go to, I don't know, we're in Florida. Say the goal is to go to New York. If I was to walk right now and be going to New York, and say I just got punched and laid out and I woke up, I wouldn't really remember what I was doing. I'd have to like sit up and like, it's such a dumb example, but I have to like sit up and remember, okay, where am I? Who am I? What was I doing? What like wisdoms have I gathered? All right, where were we going? Why were we going there? What tools do we have to get there? All these things, right? And it's like a dumb example. I use the boxer one normally, where it's like, imagine you're in a fight and you get hit and you stand up and you have to remember all these things. For a fighter, it's like muscle memory. They've practiced. And so it's just instilled that when they get up, nothing matters. They're just back up and they're just ready to go. They're ready for whatever it is, and they don't even know why they're doing it, but they have this trained muscle memory and just memory in general to like snap back into it instantly and at least finish the fight and then get back to that place of like, okay, what are we doing? And for me, it's almost like imagine in life if you got punched and you got taken down and you had to stand up. If you had to constantly remember everything you were doing, it'd be really tough. But imagine you woke up and there was like a Post-it note on the wall right in front of you. And imagine the Post-it note just said, yo, like if it was me and I got knocked down and I stood up and I was like, holy fuck, what's going on in life? Where was I going? If I could just look at this Post-it note and it was like, yo, Drex, this is who you are. This is where you were. This is a reminder of where you were going, why you were going there. Here's all the things you had to do to get there, and here's all the tools you needed to do it. Bruh, now I can just get back on the way, because it's hard enough doing it. It's hard enough to go out there and make it happen, let alone remember how to make it happen. And so for me, that's kind of what I want this video to be as well. Like, it's a reminder of this energy that I'm feeling right now, because it's so required to get me to where I'm going. And hopefully somebody else out there as well can see it, and now that maybe you've seen and you know who I am, maybe you yourself needed that energy, and you can take it and it can take you to where you're going. Had another thought. I didn't write it down. That's unfortunate. I've been wanting to do like wider angles too, or like wider shots. I don't have a mic yet, so I need to get a mic so you can actually hear me, because I know you can't hear me right now. But I want to have better, like, wider shots. So I'm gonna order a mic today. I think that's about it. Man, I hate when I forget the thought. I really had a good one too with it. I don't know. The Post-it note's a good enough one. Future Drex, if you come back to this, what else? Right now, right now you are independent. You're still, the team is you and your friends. You're not really doing all the things you want to be doing, but you got it all in your head. You know you want to be dropping merch, you know you want to be playing these shows, you know you want to be making these videos, you know you want to be making and creating music videos. You know you want to be experiencing it in the moment. Like that's good. That was part of it. The call with Jose, I had this realization, and it wasn't just that. I was listening to the Balloonerism, the new Mac Miller album, and Mac's like a big reason I got into making music. And when I first started making music, there was no thinking, bro. There was just play. There was just pure existence. And when I first started making the clothes with Jose, there was no thinking. I just knew what was fly. I knew what was dope. I had my taste, and I just shot it into the world over and over and over again. And sometimes I was right, and sometimes, a lot of times I was wrong. And like wrong being like, it was an objectively bad idea. But it just, it wasn't a good piece of creativity. I think whether it was that or learning all these other pressures of life and like building a business independently and fucking realizing what it takes to get from point A to point B, somewhere along the way I started thinking, which is the worst thing you can do when you're making art or when you're just creating in general, and the worst thing you can do in life, I think. Just don't think, man. Just go. And especially when you're first starting, especially when you want to do something new, when you want to do something that you just feel and you like love. Don't worry about all these people telling you gotta do X, Y, and Z. If you want to make music, don't worry about the people telling you post TikToks. If you want to make clothes, don't worry about the people telling you need to get an LLC. Fuck all that shit. Just make shit and make what you love, and then look at it and then have an objective mindset of how can I make this better? What's wrong with it? Not even what's wrong with it. How do I make it better for you? And do that until you're really confident with it, and do it as quick as possible. Just make as much and as quickly as possible until you're ready to show the world. Because you don't really get to complete I call it the creative life cycle. You don't get to complete a lap of the creative life cycle until you've had an idea and you've brought it out and then you've just thrown it into the world. And the more the more reps you get of that, the more reps you get of that, I think the better. Sorry, that threw me off. The more reps you get of that, the more confident you'll start feeling with your stuff. And for me, I think I was listening to that Mac album and I was just remembered that place. I remember when I first started making music, there was no thinking. I remember the feeling, and I mean, I listened to that Mac album, bro. A lot of this shit is like just what you experience off of. It's just what you experience off of. Situational. It's the context. When I was listening to the Balloonerism, if I had heard that album in high school, or like whenever I was really listening to Mac, I don't know if it would have connected with me on like the same. I got chills listening to it because it hit me in the right time, and like now I have this context of this person who's no longer here. I have this context of this person who meant so much to me that I'll never get fresh this version of art ever again. And because of that context, it hits so differently. But when Mac was making that shit, he wasn't thinking like about this. He wasn't thinking about how I'd receive it. He wasn't thinking about anything. And so, yeah, man, I think I just need to get back to that place because it's like I can just make some shit and then someone can take it whenever the time is right and show anybody. Whether it's this video, maybe nobody sees this video, maybe 100 of y'all do, maybe 1,000, whatever. And maybe it doesn't mean anything. But when I'm not here anymore, this shit will extend my existence. And it will exist. I exist. I exist right here, right now because of this, because I made this thing. And I think I need to get lost in more of that. And that, I think, is the main point of what I wanted to make with this video. It's just, if you ever come back to this video and you watch this shit, just remember this energy, remember this feeling, and remember this is like the first week you got lost in it, and see where it takes you. It'll come, it'll go, it'll probably, it'll definitely come and go, but like, anyway, if you ever need to come back to this one, and if y'all ever need to come back to it, you can, I don't know, you can save it. I do that a lot with videos that help me get back to these like cheat code mindsets. And it's such a powerful idea, man, of like that post-it note, just a reminder of where you are and reminder of the energy you needed to get you to where you were going. Even if that's just like existing. Oh yeah, that's about it. See y'all tomorrow.